Well, now I want to talk to you about my emotional trigger. I'm wearing one of my favorite t-shirts here. It's a band called the Moody Blues. I've listened to them since the early 70s. And speaking of moody, my wife would often say, I get moody. Well, not often, just when she would travel. Now, she's a regional executive for a large corporation, so she's required to travel in her work. And I found that I would tend to get moody around the time she would travel. And she picked up on it as well. And, you know, one day after she took off on this plane, I decided to go for a walk out here, you know, in nature. And as I started to walk, I started to reflect on this, and I was trying to figure out, why in the world do I get so moody? You know, why do I get kind of mopey, as she would say? And I started to think about it, and suddenly I just had this memory come up. And it was a memory of when I was 5 years old, and I was sitting in the back seat of my parents' car, and my dad had pulled up someplace, and my mom got out of the car, and she was in this like white outfit. It was a uniform. And she got up out of the car, she started walking off down this sidewalk. And I remember saying to my dad, "Where's Mommy going?" And he said to me, "Well, Mom's going to work, Don." I said, "Well, when's she going to be back?" And he said, "Well, she'll be back when you're sleeping tonight." And I said, "Oh." He said, "Don, she's going to work, and she's going to work 5 days a week from Monday through Friday at the same time." And as I watched her going up the sidewalk there to this large factory, these crocodile tears started forming and flowing down my eyes, and I felt like, why is she leaving me? Why is she leaving me by myself? As a little 5-year-old boy, I didn't understand it. She worked, my dad worked. That's just how it was when you had 5 kids. And she wasn't leaving me forever, but I felt abandoned. And so as I was walking in nature and thinking about it, I thought, wow, you know, I'm drawing a connection now. When my wife leaves, it just reminded me of this way I felt when I was a little boy, 5 years old. And I never really thought about it. I had buried it until I did this walk out in nature. And I realized that I do have a trigger there, an emotional trigger of feeling alone or feeling abandoned. And so when my wife got back into town, I was really happy about telling her about this. And we just unpacked it together, and it became something that we both understood was something that was my problem, not her problem, it was mine. But once I was able to make the connection, I was also able to let it go. And now when she travels, at times I can feel a little bit mopey, but I know where that comes from. I'm able to deal with it and manage it. Now that's a simple example of an emotional trigger. I'm sure you have your own as well. I can give you several more of mine, but I wanted to give you a simple example of how these emotional triggers can play out in our adult life. Hope that helps you.